Hi, my name is Jim Hudson. I'm a member of the Bailey's Glen Woodworkers Guild, and today I'm going to show you how to get a program named Paint.net. We're going to go through 5 basic sections of this little course today. First one is, what is Paint.net and why do you care about it? Second is, how do you get Paint.net onto your computer? Then we'll run Paint.net and I'll show you the very basic application, how to use it and what the parts are. I'm not going to explain everything in Paint.net. That would take way too long. You get to learn how to use all the rest of it on your own. But then after I've shown you the basics, I'm going to show you how to create an image with Paint.net that has basic text in it, text that's horizontal, regular square format like the text you see on the screen right now. And then finally I'll show you how to create an image with circular text in it. Okay, first, what is Paint.net and why do you care about it? Paint.net is a program that is used to create image files, raster files in the jargon of computers, pictures. What you're looking at here is a picture that I created for the Hack and Hammer hobby shop folks. That's their logo. As woodworkers, we're typically going to be using it to create images that we then feed into the laser engraver and burn onto a piece of wood. Those, some of them are simple regular text and they look like this. They're just words that we make into a picture. And others are circular text. I particularly do this when I'm making the engraving that I want to burn into the bottom of one of the bowls that I turn at the woodworkers. Paint.net can be used to create lots and lots of different kinds of pictures, but I'm only going to show you today how to create pictures like these last two that you would then use with the laser engraver. So the first thing you've got to do is to download and install Paint.net. And this is a little tricky. You have to be careful here because there are a million ways that you can go wrong as you go through this process. So please follow this along carefully. The first thing you do is you go to a website named getpaint.net. Once you're on that website, you'll see up here in the upper right hand corner the Get It Now free download link, which is named Paint.net 5.0.2. You click that and it brings you to a page that looks like this. And there are a lot of download buttons on this page, but the one that you want is this one right here that says downloadnow.pdn. You click that and now you get a page from a different website. It's the .pdn.com website. And you click this free download now, Paint.net 5.0.2, and this will actually download the Paint.net installer. So I've got it here, and what it does is it puts a file on my computer in the downloads folder. The file on your computer is going to go to wherever you have your browser set to put download files. You double click it and inside of that you'll see that there's an exe file. This is the actual installer. I'm not going to run it right now. It's self-explanatory. You just double click it and follow the instructions, do what it says. At that point you'll have the Paint.net program. Next thing you want to do is you want to get a thing that's called a plugin. The plugin is what provides the ability to have circular text. So I'm going to go back to the getpaint.net website. This is the page we started on. And up here, I'm going to type the name of the plugin that you want. It's called the DPY plugin. and search for it. And you'll see many things on this website that talk about the DPY plugin pack. Just click this one right here, and this will get you a page that has all about the DPY plugin pack. The part of it that you want is the thing here that says 2014-05-04 8.1 pack released, download, and there's a button here to download the DPY plugins, and you click that. And what happens is that I now have this file on my computer called DPY Plugins 8.1. It's in the same place as all my other downloads go. On my computer, that's my downloads folder. And I double click it, and this opens up a folder. And what you do with this folder is you open this, and it will contain a whole bunch of files whose name ends in DLL. And what you want to do is you want to select all of these, and then you want to do a copy, and you want to go to a different folder. It's on the C drive, it's in Program Files, it's in Paint.net, it's called Effects, and you copy all of those DLL files into the Effects folder. Now the plugin is installed and we can begin to use it. All right, so now we've got Paint.net installed on our computer. We run it like any other program on our computer, and when it starts up, it'll look like this. Before I get into the creation of the files that you're going to burn on the laser engraver, I just want to spend a little time and show you some of the very basic stuff about Paint.net. First and foremost, you use Paint.net to create image files. Typically, they're either going to be .jpg files, or by default, they might be .png files. Both of those are perfectly acceptable to Laser Gerbil and can be used to operate the laser engraver. When you start it up, it starts up with an empty image. That's what this big white square is. The empty image is where I can make my drawing. There's a lot of parts to Paint.net. The main one is up here. It's called the menu. And in the menu, there's a file menu, and this is where you create new drawings, or you open old ones, or you save your drawing so that you can then use it with Laser Gerbil. There's an edit menu that lets you do your standard cut, copy, paste, undo, redo sorts of things. It also talks about the concept of a selection, and I'll get to that in just a second. There's a view menu which lets you change the way it looks on the screen, zoom in, zoom out, etc. Then you've got some image functions where you can crop your image, you can flip it horizontally, you can rotate it, things like that. Layers is a very powerful feature to Paint.net. I'm not going to go into layers today. If you want to start using Paint.net to make some more sophisticated pictures, you will definitely need to learn how to use layers. Adjustments is where you have a picture, typically a photograph, and you want to make some changes to it, like increase the contrast or change the color a little bit so it's got more of a better flesh tone, things like that. Again, those are all advanced features. I'm not going to go into them today. And then effects is, it comes with a whole bunch of effects where you can do cool things to a photograph. Also, after you installed that extension, that plugin, you have this extra effect called text formations, and we're going to get to this, especially to circle text, later in the class. The other important part of Paint.net is this thing over here on the left called the toolbar. This is how you actually operate Paint.net. So if I wanted to, say, draw a pretty rectangle, I would select the Shapes tool. I'd put my cursor out into the drawing surface, and I would drag it, and that would create a rectangle. Now you can see that this one was a hollow rectangle with an outline. All of these tools work the same. If I wanted to, I could have drawn a filled shape. After I draw it, I can, as long as I haven't clicked somewhere else in the drawing, I can manipulate it to a certain extent. I can make it bigger and littler, and I can move it around. I can change its color. All of the tools work that way. You draw it, and then you manipulate it by these various controls that you have, and then when you're happy with it and you don't want to change it anymore, then you click somewhere else in the drawing. Now that rectangle is finished, and if I draw something else on my drawing surface, it's going to overlay part of the rectangle. All of the drawing features work this way. And so now, this is the basics. You're really going to have to read the help files if you want any more information on all of these tools and what they all do. I will tell you that one that you will tend to use a lot is this tool right here. It's called a selection tool. When you use a selection tool, you draw a rectangle like that, and then you change over to the move selection, and now what I can do is I can move just what I had selected from the original drawing, and I can make changes to just that original selected area of the drawing, and I can do things with it. Selection is very powerful, and you will use that a lot, so play with that to make sure you understand how it works. Okay, so now the part of the course that you've all been waiting for, creating an image that's got text in it that you can then use to burn with the laser gerbil engraver. So you pull down the file menu, you do new, you're going to pick an image size. I'm going to do 600 by 600 just now because I like it. And then to create the text itself, you use the text tool. That's this thing that looks like a T over here. You click on it, and then you click somewhere in the middle of your drawing area, and then you type. Now, like all of the other tools in Paint.net, if you don't click somewhere else in the drawing, as long as you stay inside of this particular piece of text, you can make changes to it. I can move it around on my drawing. I can go up here to the font menu, and I can pick a different font. I can make it bigger. I can also click anywhere in the text itself, and I can change the text. So in this case, I inserted a line break right there in the middle of it. I can also make other changes with the other text editing settings up here at the top. For instance, if I wanted my text to be centered like this, I click the center align tool. I could left align it or right align it. I can also change the size of my text if I wanted to burn that into the wood. Once I'm finished typing what it is that I want and it looks the way that I want it, then I save it. First time you save something, you do a save as, and you just save it to the hard drive of your computer anywhere you want. What a lot of guys do is that they save it to a thumb drive, and then they bring the thumb drive into the studio or the shop with them, and they can load the image, the file that's on the thumb drive into the computer that's hooked up to the laser engraver. I personally like to save my files as JPEGs. It's an old format. I'm an old guy, and so I stick with old formats. PNG is more modern, but it doesn't really make any difference for the purposes of laser engraving. And you give it a name. and then you save it to your desktop. That file that we've saved to the desktop is then something we can import into Laser Gerbil and create a laser engraver project with it, and then burn it into the wood. And that's basically it. That's how you create regular horizontal text for engraving. And finally, now I'm going to show you how to create an image that has circular text in it to be used for engraving with Laser Gerbil. So once again, you start off by creating a new blank drawing. And again, I'm going to use one that's 600 pixels by 600 pixels. Then you pull down this Effects menu, and you use text formations and circle text. First thing you do is to type the text that you want to have in the circle. And you can see what that text looks like in the circle as you're typing it. One point that I should make is that you should set your color to solid black before you use the circle text tool. Otherwise, the text is going to be whatever color you had previously chosen for whatever you were previously doing. The laser engraver much prefers to have black text. So I type this, and here's what I've got. One thing to note about the text that you create, if I don't have some blanks after the period at the end of my sentence, then you see that the period, because it wrapped around a circle, the period ends up being right next to the T in this. So you want to have a couple of blanks there, and you use blanks to space it out so that it looks the way you want it to look. I can then change the font and the size of the font. Now you notice that as I'm making the font bigger, the letters are all mashed together, and that's because I have a very small radius for this circle. So what I need to do is to increase the radius of my circle. That now there's more room for the letters. And so you're gonna just need to play with your font size. Oops, made it too big. And the radius of your circle to get the look that you want. Typically, you're going to want your circle text to go all the way around the circle. So angle of arc is 360 degrees. Angle of start is where the text is going to begin in the circle. Typically, this doesn't really matter because you can place the circle any way you want when you burn it, but 0 is the top of the circle. I don't know what finer adjustment does. You'll have to work on that yourself. And so now I've created the text, and I think it's the way I want, so I click OK. And now I have an image file with circular text. As before, I save it to my hard drive. And now I have a file that I can import into Laser Gerbil to burn onto my wood. And that's the end of the course. Thanks very much for listening.